Welcome to the Naked Party Time Podcast, where we get real and raw about life, leadership, and love.
While having lots of fun along the way.
So what do you say? Are you ready to get naked?
Let's do it.
Sabrina, why is there a fake crowd cheering, kazoos, and if you're watching on YouTube, why are we wearing party hats?
It's our 1-year anniversary. Oh, I didn't say it the right way. Podcastiversary.
It's not our 1-year anniversary. No. We're actually, this month is our 24-year wedding anniversary. But today, June 8th, is our 1-year anniversary to the day that the Naked Party Time podcast launched. And so on this 1-year anniversary of our podcast, we are calling this episode, episode 24, our Podcastiversary episode. All right, it'll be the last time we do the kazoos. Maybe.
Oh, man.
Maybe we'll bring it back again. I'm going to take my party hat off too.
Oh, why?
So
it's
this
a
is
party the whole day.
This is funny, Sabrina. You know that I'm OCD. No surprise.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
And podcastiversary is not a real word.
I know. I told you to get in the dictionary.
Yeah. So on my computer, whenever I typed in podcastiversary, it would highlight it as a misspelled word, and it drove me crazy, that little red line under the word. So there's this great feature on Microsoft Word and on my computer where you can add words to your computer dictionary. So I added podcastiversary, and it no longer shows up as a misspelled word.
That's a good idea.
It's a glorious day. So happy.
Yes, good idea.
So it's been quite a year of podcast, has it not?
Yes.
Can you believe we've been doing this for a year?
No.
It's incredible.
It is incredible.
This started out as a, hey, we should try a podcast.
How many things do we say that sentence to? Hey, we should try.
Yep. ...
Kind
of like camping.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yep.
And it's turned into something great for us as a couple, and apparently it's been helpful for some other people as well. Now, granted, we did bribe people into leaving us comments by telling them they could win $75. But several people made comments about the podcast, and they are entered into our $75 drawing. So let's just read the comments that we got for our Podcastiversary episode. Randy said, the podcast has really shifted my thoughts on marriage from the foundation on up. I didn't realize how much my spouse and I needed that until I heard it from two people that I trust. Thank you.
No, that's
very,
sweet.
very kind.
Scott said, you're an inspiration to many of us out here. Love watching y'all's podcasts.
That's awesome. Thank you, Scott. Crystal said, very simply, you are both so awesome. And Crystal, you are awesome as well.
Yes.
Thanks for giving that comment.
And then Laura said, I've learned so much from y'all's podcast. I breathe more and think before reacting to attitudes. I pray more.
That's awesome.
That is
I love
awesome.
that somebody's praying more
Yes.
based off of our podcast. Michaela, you might know her. She's one of our children.
I do know her.
Michaela, our daughter, who was on one of the Naked Weekly podcasts that I did with our other two daughters. She said, I really liked when the podcast had those 3 really cute girls that helped me. She just wants to win the money.
Yes, she does.
And she's entered into we said any comment works.
Yeah.
So she's entered into the drawing.
And then Melissa said, your podcasts have been great conversation starters for my husband and I. Sometimes we laugh and share jokes. Other times we've had meaningful conversations based on podcast topics. Thanks for your investment in our marriage.
That's cool.
I love that.
And Melissa, Jeremy, we know who you are. So
yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yes.
You guys are always great. Matt shared, this podcast has had a huge impact on our lives. It's helped shape my Sabbath. And after the spending fast, we are still doing a great job of only eating out once a week as a family. Talk about money saving.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, super cool.
I love that.
Super cool. And then lastly, this one's a little bit longer, but I thought it was really good. Emily said, I first of all want to thank you both for this podcast. The main thing that I have learned from your podcast is that there are people out there just like me struggling with anxiety. I want to thank you for being so raw in your feelings and expressions of your own mental and physical health. This podcast has also provided my husband and I with many conversation starters and have struck up many conversations and long road trip discussions. No one tells you before you're married just how many things can be truly weird to talk about with your own spouse.
So true.
Again, thank you both for stepping out to do this podcast and overall for being real in your discussions. And I love that, that it's creating conversations.
Yeah.
We're not providing a ton of answers necessarily on this podcast, but I hope that we are generating conversations and getting people pointed on the right path.
Yeah.
That's really is one of our desires on that. So thank you to everyone who made comments. And now we need to draw a winner for the $75 gift card. We'll reach out to you, whoever the winner is, and you can choose either a restaurant of your choice, Target, or Amazon. Okay. So Sabrina, you've entered all of the names into a random name generator app that you use for your business when you do drawings.
Yeah, I love it.
So every name that left a comment is entered. Why don't you run the drawing for the $75 and we'll see who wins.
Okay. I wish you could watch it. Here we go. It's spinning.
We are literally doing it on there. Crystal win. Oh, no. I was too soon. That was a Sabrina moment right there.
It's Emily.
Emily wins the $75 gift card. So we'll reach out to you, Emily, and make sure that we get your email. We'll send you a digital gift card if you can receive that. If not, we'll actually buy one for you and mail it to you. But thank you guys so much for all of the comments. Okay, we got a bunch of questions as well. At the end of the questions and responses here, we'll do the $25 drawing for the questions. So some of these we're just going to barely maybe touch the surface on.
Yeah.
You guys asked some great questions. And there's a few of these I think have given us ideas for entire podcast episodes.
Yeah.
So we may not spend a ton of time on them. And so apologies in advance. So many of these deserve far more discussion than we're going to give it here. But we're just celebrating our podcastiversary by answering these questions. You're just going to leave your hat on the whole time?
I am.
All right.
It's a party.
You look great.
Thanks.
Yeah. So let's see where we at here. Let's just jump into the questions here. Tanya asked, what is your favorite episode and why? So Sabrina, we've done 24 official episodes, one bonus episode, some Naked Weekly episodes. What's been your favorite episode and why?
So I actually had to go back to the podcast app and look at all the subjects because we've talked about a lot of different things when I went and looked back.
Yep.
So I have two that are my favorites. They're both kind of series, but the Sabbath series one was one of my favorites just because Sabbath has been so life-changing for us. Yep. And I talk to everybody about Sabbath. I try to help people figure out how they can Sabbath. Like I just think it's that important that we obey that commandment. Yep. And then the second podcast that is one of my top favorites is the We're Not Going Back to Normal series. Yep. I just think because COVID did open the door to healthy things and unhealthy things. And so we all need to work on that. Yeah. And I just think that the sermon series you did was amazing. And it was just really eye-opening and I hope life-changing for people.
That's like 8 total episodes you just chose.
I know,
right there.
sorry. It was 2 series, 2 topics.
Okay. Well, my favorite, I chose 2 as well. But my favorite, I'm going to say, are the 2 most listened to episodes from our first year. And those were the 2 episodes that we just did on sex, are by far the most listened to, like blew every other episode.
It blows my mind.
Out of the water. And I say those are my favorites, not because of the obvious reasons people might think. And not for the obvious reasons you might think that I would say those are my favorites. First of all, I just love the fact that you're willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people, and I'm painting with broad strokes here, but a lot of times a lot of wives won't talk about it.
Yeah.
Or if they do, it's in a negative light. So very thankful that you're willing to talk about it. That's not easy to do. I know it's uncomfortable for you to do. But I think that was good. And then the second reason I love those 2 episodes the most is that it was just shocking that it struck such a chord with people that, we had no idea it was going to be such a popular episode. So the fact that so many people were tuning into those 2 specifically made those my my favorite. The most fun episode I had was with my brother. It was literally like 35 minutes of laughing and making fun of each other.
It was awesome.
It was fun. So I loved doing that one. I loved interviewing my parents as well for their 50th wedding anniversary. That was a bonus episode. I chose 4.
Yeah.
But you chose like the broken or the not going back to normal was like literally 7 or 8 episodes.
But it was so good. I loved it.
Sabbath is a great one though too. I mean, we're just so passionate about the Sabbath.
Yeah.
And those are good. Good job. Good choices.
Thanks.
Katrina, our friend Katrina, she asked a very serious question.
That's why we're laughing.
She just wants $25. Why was Katrina, then Anderson, her maiden name, why was Katrina your favorite ever person you had in youth group?
There's some other people in her class that might argue with her. But she was one of my favorite people.
I know. You're still very close to her.
Yeah.
But Katrina, thanks for making us laugh.
Katrina, I was pregnant with Mariah. Was that their senior? No. Their junior year in high school, 2003. And Katrina constantly touched my belly and talked to Mariah, who she wanted me to name Katie Lee. That's what she called her the whole time. And then Mariah, you do remember that?
I don't remember that.
And then Mariah ended up being born on Katrina's birthday.
Yep, they shared the birthday. So that's Katrina, why you're our favorite. Actually, Katrina and her husband Keenan, they were one of the couples that helped start Element.
Yeah.
So they moved down here from Gillette.
First.
Yeah, they were the first ones here. So they, along with 3 other couples, were literally with us in our basement when we started this thing, which is incredible. And they're now flourishing up in Gillette, which is awesome. So thanks, Katrina. Matt asked, what tips do you have for non-campers to enjoy camping? We have done something that I said I would never do. We went tent camping. We bought a truck tent, so it fits in the bed of my truck. We got all the camping supplies. We got everything we needed for one night camping. That's about the limit, I think, for us. But we went camping this last week.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so much fun.
We drove up there. We got Jimmy John's on the way out of town. We drove up. We went kayaking. Did we kayak that night?
You did by yourself.
Oh, that's right.
I stayed by the fire and knitted.
Started a fire. Put the tent up, went kayaking, stayed the night in the tent, and then got up the next morning, made breakfast,
went kayaking
a little cook stove, went kayaking again, came back. We were back the next day to our house by noon. It was fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
What tips do you have for non-campers to enjoy camping? And then Matt said, I doubt it will happen, but maybe next year. We have taken up kayaking and paddleboarding too, so who knows?
That's awesome. I love that.
Any tips for non-campers to enjoy camping?
Pinterest is your best friend. I can't tell you how much I've learned off of Pinterest on what we need. And then I think I was so glad that we did a practice night in our driveway.
Yeah, that's great.
Because it helped us know what we needed. Yep. And then we were only 40 minutes from home.
Yeah.
So not terribly far away did we go.
Not even that far.
But again, we forgot things and had to improvise, which was totally fine. So we have a few more things we need to buy, but
do your research.
Yeah,
we did do a ton of research.
Yeah,
we didn't want to sleep on a tent on the ground. We wanted it to be up higher, like in the bed of my truck. So we got the truck tent. But I would also say the practices. I didn't think about that. We did that practice run in our driveway, and it really did help us know what it was going to be like. Because I've never tent camped in my life. Have you?
I don't think so, except for one time in Girl Scouts. I remember my dad going with me for a camp,
but not like regular.
No, I don't think so.
As a
not that I
hobby
recall.
Or whatever,
No.
So doing that practice run was awesome, and then I would also say like start small.
Yeah.
If you're not a camper, don't plan a big week-long camping trip. Because even when we were up there, we said we could do one more night. But I literally myself, I know some people love it. I can't imagine staying a week in a tent. Guys, there's no way I could do it. So if you're not a camper, start small. Be close to home. do it somewhere close to home where you can get back.
Yeah, in case.
Even as the people wouldn't call this camping, but try out a KOA campground.
Yeah.
Where there's a bathroom. Like we literally bought a bucket to pee in.
Yes. I probably peed 5 times in this bucket.
Yeah.
With the toilet seat on it.
So it's not, I don't think we'll ever become, raging campers.
No, I don't think so
But
either.
it was fun.
But I loved it for one night.
And it helps us live out one of our values.
Yeah.
Which is being together overnight at least once a quarter. Well, this is going to make it, we're going to be overnight once a month through the summer at least.
Oh, yeah.
Away without the kids, you and I.
Planned.
And so it's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
Michaela, our child who wants to win a gift card, she asked another very serious question. Who's your favorite kid? Now, you answered that question on the very first episode we did.
I remember that.
And you actually gave a name.
And I think we had kids sitting down
here. We did.
Watching.
I was shocked. I'm not even going to repeat it.
Well, they all know.
See, you're still admitting it.
I know.
Wow. To all my kids who are listening, I don't favor any of you.
You're such a liar.
I love you all equally.
He's lying.
I am so much better than your mother.
Liar. This is
why
on fire.
I'm your favorite parent.
I have, and I think a lot of parents would say this, you have seasons where, or even days where some kid you just get along better with.
Not me, folks.
Oh, my word.
I love my children equally.
Okay. Michaela, I love you, and you're my favorite.
Okay, so she did that. But then she asked, I thought, a really good question.
Yeah.
It's a serious one. What's it like parenting kids so close in age? So, is it within 4 years? Are they all within 4 years?
4 kids in 5 years.
Okay, so we have 4 kids within 5 years. 2 of those kids, the 2 middle ones, are 11 months apart.
5 days short of 11 months apart.
They're 11 months apart. It's the same
they're
thing.
5 days short.
Oh my goodness. We have been arguing about this for 17 years.
Well, because it's not true. They're not 11 months apart. Michaela was born April 8th. Mariah was born May 13th. That's not 11 months apart. It's 10 months and 25 days.
Okay, it's 11 months.
It's not 11 months.
5 days
if
you round up.
Agree with me, email us at hello@jeffmanis.com and say that I am right.
No, you round to the closest month. So if it was...
But I feel like I'm lying because it's not true. They're not 11 months apart.
They are.
They are 10 months apart.
No, they're not. They're 10 months and 20 some days.
It's not 11 months though.
We're we're going to need counseling after this podcast. This podcast is over. No more. Oh my goodness. Okay. They're 11 months apart, the 2 middle ones. What's it like having kids so close together?
There were days I did not think I would make it.
Yeah.
I cried in the bathroom a lot.
Yeah.
With Jonah on the outside of the door knocking. Mom, are you okay? I'm like, I'll be okay, buddy. I just need a minute. It was crazy. It was insane. I always had 10 plus kids at my house. It kept my kids busy. I loved it. Like we did it all. Yeah. We survived.
I would say it was harder when they were little. Now I think it's great that they're closer together. I mean, our 2 middle girls are great friends.
Yeah.
We just had them both graduate on the same day.
Yeah.
Now, Michaela graduated a year early, but because they were so close together, she worked her butt off and got 2 years done in one. But that wouldn't have happened if they were even 2 years apart.
Yeah.
So the fact they were so close together, and even so now, like when we just went to Disney World in January.
I loved that.
Yeah, it was like having, I mean, they're not all adults yet, but it was like having all of our adult children. They could go off on their own. You and I could just be together. We didn't have to watch them. And all of them could hang out together, similar ages. So now I think it's great. Mm-hmm. I love it that they're close together now. It was hard when they were little.
I think if I could go back, I would space them out more.
Well, that was the plan.
Yep, it was the plan. See, after we had Michaela, this was our plan, but God thought differently. We were going to wait 5 years and have 2 more kids. We're going to have like 2 different families. But Jada came sooner than we planned.
But so did Michaela.
Yeah, Michaela came way sooner than anybody planned.
Yeah.
So, and then after we had Jada, Jeff was like, okay, we're done. And he tried to get fixed when I was still pregnant with Jada, and the doctor told him no.
Yeah.
But I think if I could go back, I would space them out a little bit more, but then I'm not in control either. So God knows what is best. And it was fun and crazy and hectic and loud, and I loved it. Like it was super hard, but
and now it's great.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Yep. I say it's great, but dealing with all teenagers has its own challenges.
Yeah, that's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But
So, Michaela, I thought that was a great question.
Yeah, that was good.
Thanks. And that's why you're our favorite, Michaela.
I had people ask me all the time, how do you do it? And I was like, how do I not do it? I don't have a choice.
That's a great answer. When you're in the throes of the chaos, you just do it.
Yeah. I just take care of everybody. We do one thing at a time, and we figure it out.
Yeah. And I love what you just said there too, that there has to be a realization that even if our plan was not to have them that close, but even if you're using, protection with sex, like God can do what he wants.
Yeah.
And so just acknowledging that it wasn't God's the one that gave us those 4 kids.
Yeah. So he must have known we were really awesome really strong. That's right. And we could handle it.
You kids are welcome for having us as your parents. Randy asked, how did you know that Sabrina/Jeff was the one? So how do we know we were the one? And I'll just say this. I think the search for the one is a futile search.
Yeah.
Because I understand the question, Randy, and I appreciate it. And I'll address it here in a second. But I think the idea that there's only one person out there for you is a fallacy.
Yeah.
Because, and I've said this before, if there's only one person for me and only one person for you, and if we marry each other and it's the wrong person, then the people we were supposed to marry can't marry the right person. So they married the wrong person. And those people were supposed to marry, I mean, it doesn't take but a few years and everybody's married the wrong person.
Yeah.
That there is no finding the one. It's you find Jesus.
Yes.
Make him the center of your life. If he provides for you a spouse, if you get married, they are the one.
Yeah.
Till death do us part. Now, I know it doesn't always happen.
Right.
But that is my advice to people, that if you are married, you found the one.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be a long, hard, painful road. And you might need help. You might need to be separated for seasons to get help or safety or whatever. I am in no way saying that you should stay in a harmful, abusive, dangerous situation. But I would challenge every single person every person who is single out there, stop worrying about finding the one.
Yeah.
And be focused on Jesus as your one. Let him make you into who you're supposed to be. And if you just follow Jesus and he wants you to be married, you'll find someone.
What's that line in Andy Stanley's book?
Become the one you're looking for is looking for.
Yeah, I love that.
So become the kind of person that the right person would want to marry.
Yeah.
And if you'll pursue Jesus and he wants you married, mm-hmm. it will happen.
Yep.
But don't pursue marriage. Pursue Jesus, and if he wants you married, it will happen. He will always lead you to where he wants you to be.
Do you recall when you thought, I'm going to marry me?
I mean, we talked, and I'm not saying this is the right thing to do. I think we were unhealthy in so many ways.
Yeah, we did everything wrong. I was 14
and I
when
was
we
17,
started quote unquote dating.
Yeah,
and he was 17, almost
turned
18.
18 2 months later.
And we weren't allowed to be alone until I was 16.
Yeah.
But
we had to be others' houses.
Our parents gave us rules and we followed them, but like it was very unhealthy. And I can't remember when I thought you were the one. I feel like I was so young and immature that I just didn't know.
Yep.
But I mean, it worked out for us.
Yep.
But there's no way our 14-year-old daughter is dating
a 17-year-old.
Anybody.
Yeah. Anybody, let alone 17 or 18.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know when we thought, I mean, we were just so immature. We were talking about marriage way too early.
Yes, we were.
And I even talked with you about this the other day when we got this question in, that I do believe that you can marry someone that God does not want you to marry. But once you're married, he wants you to stay married.
Yeah, because he hates divorce.
Right. And so, like I was telling you, we very easily, I don't know, obviously it's worked out. We have a thriving marriage. But God may not have wanted me to marry you in that moment. But once we got married, now he's like, okay, now we're going to figure this thing out. So anyway, it's such a hard question to answer because we were so immature when we said we were going to get married.
But we couldn't even get married till I graduated high school. Like we dated for 5 years because 4 of those I was in high school.
I don't have an easy answer to that, Randy. I know, it's hard. But all I know to say is this: if you get married, you have found the one.
Yeah.
And I know people don't like that, but that's just reality. That's scripture. The two are united into what? One. So you found the one.
And love is a choice you make every day. You don't have to like your spouse all the time. Yeah. But you need to choose to love him because remember, or her, because the enemy is out to drive a wedge between you guys once you're married and get you as far away as possible. So we have to work even harder to stick together.
So that, Randy, maybe that's another episode there talking about whatever we've not done one on dating.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah. There's some
Randy,
good resources.
Might turn into a good episode. Randy, she also asked, what are some new things you want to implement into your marriage or bring back from the past? I have one I'll share, but do you have anything that you thought of?
No, I mean, I've been thinking about this question and I don't know what we would want to bring back from the past.
I don't know if there's anything from the past.
No, because that was
some of that was bad.
Yeah.
But what I thought of, which was what we've talked about, and we've looked into it, we've just not found a place that offers exactly what we're looking for. But I said we should start going to counseling together. Not counseling because we're on the verge of a breakup, but counseling us just to make our marriage better, marriage enrichment.
Well, it's obviously in some of the previous questions we probably needed.
To help us navigate whether it was 11 months or 10 months?
Yes, I need somebody else on my side.
No, it was 11. But one of the reasons why we've talked about wanting to go to counseling was just to be an example to others of there's nothing wrong with going to counseling.
Right. We believe in it 100%.
Yeah. And every marriage, no matter how good it is, can get better.
Yeah.
Now, again, we have not done that yet, but we've talked about doing that. I think if we found the right place, we would have by now if we found the place that was offering what we felt like we were looking for. But most of the places we found are more for conflict resolution type of counseling. We're looking for marriage enrichment counseling. Although it does seem like we have a conflict we can never resolve. So we're in such a good place now. I can't think of anything from the past that we were doing that we're not now that we'd want to bring back. It would only be adding something like counseling to the future that I can think of.
Yeah.
Corinne asked, what is your biggest day-to-day challenge?
This was a good question.
Yeah.
I was thinking, currently mine probably is sharing a car with my 20-year-old and trying to figure out where I need to go and where he needs to go. Jonah and I are constantly talking about what does tomorrow look like? When do you need the car? When do you need the car? That's like the biggest one for me. And then also I try to be, we talked about this in a podcast, but really careful in my calendar. I want to have dead space in my day. I don't want to work 24 hours a day. I don't want to clean my house 24 hours a day. Like I want to look at my calendar and be like, I don't have to do anything if I don't want to. Like I really want to protect that. And I counsel several people in the week, and that's a priority to me, but then I try to be careful what I add on top of that.
It's good. You thought way more practically than I was thinking.
Oh.
That's good. No, I don't have any struggles, so.
Oh, almost perfect over there.
I was thinking more in the philosophical, more principle. My biggest day-to-day struggle is literally letting go of control of my children. Like, our kids don't, as now adults, young adult, teenage children, you have to give more and more leash. You have less and less control, and they don't always make choices that we agree with, or even make choices that we believe align with Scripture.
Yeah.
And so letting go of control is right now an everyday challenge. When things aren't going, when your children don't do what you think is best.
Yeah.
When they're younger, you can control it. They respond to discipline much quicker. When they're older, and then as they enter into adulthood, there is no control. So
this is something I've observed. When your kids are 10 and under, you have a lot of control. Not everybody listens well, but for the most part, you can get your kids to do what you need to do. And then that 10, 11 and up, you have it feels like zero control at times. I know that's not truth, but it feels like that.
Yep.
And in the same way, 0 to 10, your kids pursue you, and you don't even really have to think about it. Like
they want to be with you.
You almost get sick of like,
Mommy,
please don't say my name
hug
anymore.
me.
Please don't touch me anymore.
Yep.
Like it can be overwhelming. And then that 10, 11 on up, they stop pursuing you, and you have to pursue them. You have to make that flip, and that can be challenging.
Yep.
I think they're both challenging in their own reasons, but when you have to seek out your kid who's always in their room, you have to be deliberate about that. And we really try to do that.
Yep. And again, we're painting with broad strokes, even with that, because there are some families that's maybe even reversed, and a lot of it's personality driven, but that's been the case for us, what you just described, which I think is really good. For the most part, 0 to 10, your kids pursue you. Mm-hmm. And then from 11 on up, you have to pursue them, because their lives change where they have more freedom. So now you have to invade their life when they were invading yours before.
Right. And then they leave the house, and you have
really to pursue them.
Yeah, like, how do I keep pursuing them?
Yep, it's good. Corinne also asked, if you had to sum up human nature in 3 words, which ones would you choose? Jada, our youngest child, was around when this question came in, and I said, Jada, what would you say? And her answer was amazing. She said, and this, I'm literally quoting it as she said it. She said 3 words. She said, stupid, selfish, and stupid. I was like, that ain't far from the truth, girl. 3 words that would sum up human nature. Can you think, do you have 3?
Yeah, I actually asked Jonah too, and I agree with what he said. And you may say some of the same things, but selfish, I definitely think we are. And very opinionated and not afraid to give it, no matter who it hurts or what it does. And then prideful. Yeah.
Yep. So I as I thought about it, I said prideful is the first one, and that's been true from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think the root of all sin is pride. Mm-hmm. It's saying I know better than God, which is pride.
Yeah.
And that's all sin is. It's saying I know what God said, but I'm going to choose something else because I know better than God.
Which is what Eve did in the garden.
Exactly. So pride and then selfish is, I think, sums up human nature.
Yeah.
Which I believe is why the kingdom of God is all about giving. It's all about humility. Yeah. It's anti sinful nature. The last one I really thought about. Okay, what could I say right now sums up human nature? And I chose the word gullible. I just think we are gullible.
We believe everything on the internet.
Yeah. Somebody posts one thing, everything's clickbait now. Mm-hmm. So they make headlines that if you don't read the whole story, you might believe something to be true that all they wanted you was to click.
Right.
Sorry. Something started on my computer. So yeah, I just think we're gullible.
Well, and again, we saw that revealed in COVID, right?
Yep.
Nobody knows the truth.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the truth about the vaccine. Nobody knows the truth about how it got really started.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't matter what expert you ask. It just feels like nobody knows the truth. It's a one big gray matter.
And people start proclaiming things as absolute truth.
Right.
Because they saw it from somebody they trust.
Right.
And they don't know.
Yeah. So
I do think we're just gullible. We believe anything.
Yeah, that's good. That's true.
So anyway, prideful, selfish, gullible is what I said. I thought that was a really good question, Corinne. And then she asked another question that we're not going to have time to get into. I'll give it here, but she just said generational strongholds with a question mark. Maybe we can get into that someday, but that's a podcast in and of itself. Generational sins or strongholds, sins that get passed down from generation to generation. It is biblical.
It's a real thing.
And we don't have time to get into it here.
Yeah.
So Tom asked, where do your messages come from? He asked me that. And
why not me?
Well, I've told you should start preaching.
No way, Jose.
Literally my messages come from most often my own personal time with God. That's the first place is my quiet time. But the second place is watching human nature. So as things happen in the life of the people of our church, as things happen in the life of the world, as certain sins rise to the surface of culture, or certain topics rise to the surface in culture, I want to address those.
Yeah.
I always go back to Scripture to say, okay, how does Scripture address those things? But almost always it's through my own personal quiet time. I'm challenged by something in Scripture or see something for the first time in a new way. And that forms those messages. But also just, I watch very closely what prayer requests are coming into the church. So almost every sermon series we've done on marriage and relationships came after a season where the majority of requests were coming in about marriage, divorce, relationships. So I want to keep a pulse on what's happening in our own church people and in culture. And so, okay, what does Scripture say to speak to that?
Well, that helps keep us relevant and our church relevant and because the Bible is relevant.
Absolutely. He also asked, how do you keep the fire going in your marriage? And I would say, go back and listen to several of our marriage podcasts we've done. I mean, it comes back to priority.
Yeah.
We make it a priority to spend time together. Every single week, we have time together.
Yeah.
Without the kids.
Yes.
If you have kids. And we talk about the uncomfortable subjects. We deal with the difficult parts of sexual intimacy. We address those things head on. I do believe getting away together overnight at least once a quarter is massive in keeping the fire going.
And I'm going to add to that, doing new things that we've never done before.
Camping.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Kayaking.
Yeah.
Like going on adventures, pursuing the things that each other likes.
Yep.
Like
dreaming.
Yeah. Dreaming together, going on vacations together, like
without kids.
Yes.
Please, if you're married with kids, you have to spend time apart from them.
Your kids are going to leave your house someday.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be you and your spouse. And I don't want any marriage sitting at home on the couch, those two spouses looking at each other and like, well, the last 20 years has been all about our kids. We don't know each other. It's time to get a divorce. Oh my gosh.
The empty nester divorce rate is ridiculously high.
Yes.
And secular psychologists attribute it to that. That they spent so much time focused, their lives revolved around their children, that once the children were gone, they no longer knew each other. So that's, again,
Your
we talk
kids
about
are
that.
super important, but they also have their place. And it is God
Absolutely.
first, then your spouse, then your
kids.
kids. And if you want your kids to someday,
Yes.
if they do get
They need
married,
to see
they
that.
need to see
Yep.
my mom and dad took time together.
Yep.
So me and my spouse are going to take
Yep.
time together. Like we have to model for them
Yep.
what a good marriage looks like. And it looks like not being with them 24/7. It's just not healthy.
Yep. If you listen to our podcast, every time it's about marriage, this is probably the thing we've said the most in this last year. Date your spouse.
Yes.
Get away overnight, at least once a quarter, and talk about the difficult things. You've got to be transparent with each other.
Yes. No secrets.
Yep. And then we say it all the time. So that keeps the fire going. It's not about romance. It's not about wooing each other. It's about just being together.
It's not about flowers and
Yeah.
chocolate on one holiday a year.
Yep.
Like it is every day pursuing each other, being intentional. You did it when you were dating.
Yep.
So why do we stop once you get married? You can't stop.
Okay, we're at 40 minutes. So we're going to be probably the longest episode here because we only have 4 more questions. So it's not enough to do a whole other episode. So we're just going to power through. Okay. But so we're probably going to be, if you're listening, you already saw this if you're listening because you can see how long the podcast is, but we're probably going to be around 60 minutes.
I think it's okay.
Okay. I'm always freaking out about how long these are. And Sabrina's always saying it's fine.
I listen to hour-long podcasts all the time.
And I guess people can stop and pick it back up.
I listen on 1.5 speed and it's not that long.
Yep. Laura asked, do y'all follow I love she says y'all.
I know.
I don't know if she's from the South, but I love it. Do y'all follow the 5 love languages? If so, how do y'all learn to do love languages that are outside your own? It's hard to read that.
Y'all.
So yes, we do follow the 5 love languages.
Yes.
My primary love language is words of affirmation. Yours?
Acts of service.
Acts of service. So how do we learn to do the love languages outside of our own?
Practice, practice, practice.
Yep.
I was not very good at words of affirmation, and I have had to do a lot of practice. And now it comes so easily to me now because I've spent years, literally years practicing.
Yep. And acts of service was definitely not natural for me. But I would say I'm not naturally a server except for you.
Yeah.
It did not come naturally in the beginning of our marriage.
You do an excellent job at filling my love bucket.
Yes. And that's what we always say. You find out what your spouse's love language is and then fill their love bucket.
Yeah.
And so it is just practice. And all of us have love languages that don't come naturally. Thankfully, because both of us, our lowest love language is physical touch. And people get confused with physical touch and sexual intimacy. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Physical touch is you just want to you want to touch, you want to hold hands, you want to cuddle. Like lowest love language for us is physical touch. Like we rarely hold hands. Right?
Yeah, that's
we
true.
never ever. I can't tell you the last time we've cuddled.
We were
tried.
We were trying.
We
were trying to cuddle for 5 minutes a day, and I think we did it twice.
I think we did it once, and after like 2 minutes, we set a timer. This is how bad we are.
Can we be done?
You said it. You were like, "Can we be done now?"
When my kids were younger, because physical touch is so low for me, it doesn't take much for that love bucket to get filled. And so I would tell my kids, these, 4 kids in 5 years, so very close in age, and I would tell them, hey, mommy's love bucket is I would say mommy's touch bucket is full. And that was just kind of my way to nicely say, I can't handle any more touching for a minute. And they all respected it. And so sometimes they would ask me, is your touch bucket full yet? And I would say, no, not yet. And then I would let them touch me. And so now I've tried to be better at touching them as teenagers. Like on Sunday I put my finger through the ripped part of Michaela's jeans. And so just trying to keep touching them, even though it's not something I enjoy, some of them need that. And so I have to work really hard at that one.
It would be interesting if one of us had that love language of physical touch, because it is literally so far down on the list of both of ours.
But if we did, I mean, like I did with my kids, I figured it out because I knew they needed to touch me, and I know they need to be touched.
We have a king size bed and often say it's not big enough.
Yeah. I actually want 2 twin beds with a nightstand in between, but he says no.
Because there ain't no touching in bed unless there's a reason to.
Unless it's connection time.
Go back and listen to the other podcasts on that. Melissa asked a question along the same line, but she said, I want to know if you think there's a correlation between Enneagram numbers, love language, and or spiritual gifts. I've asked this all over and no one has answered me.
No.
I mean, I don't know if I have an answer, but I do think if you're looking at it through a spiritual lens, I do think there has to be some of that woven together.
Oh, yeah.
However, I'm an Enneagram 1. If you're not familiar with the Enneagram, it's just a personality profile. It's different than other personality profiles. We don't have time to get into it here. We love using the Enneagram.
Mm-hmm. We should do a podcast on that.
I know. Read The Road Back to You by Ian Cron. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's all about Enneagram. It's awesome. But I know other Enneagram 1s, I'm a 1, who don't have the same spiritual gifts or love language that I do. So it's not necessarily a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
But I do believe, like we've seen, so my highest spiritual gifts are prophecy, which is the proclaiming of God's word, and teaching. And we know a lot of other pastors with similar spiritual gifts are Enneagram 1s.
Yeah.
And introverts.
Yes.
So I do believe there is some correlation between those things when you're looking at it through the spiritual lens. Mm-hmm. Now, all those were built separately by different people. So they weren't saying, well, this spiritual gift matches with this Enneagram number.
But I think they can all work together.
I totally
think
agree.
It's good to know all of them.
Yes.
And then I think anytime you can learn more about yourself and the people in your circle, it just makes your community so much better.
Which, so I just thought of this just now. This is a direct correlation between my spiritual gift and my Enneagram number. Enneagram 1s, like I am, have what's called an inner critic, where you are constantly, as an Enneagram 1, battling not being good enough.
Yeah.
Or after you do something, critiquing it yourself in an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
And what's my highest love language?
Words of affirmation.
Those match.
Mm-hmm. You need to combat that negative with truth.
Yep. So there you go, Melissa. There's an actual example of how my love language is the polar opposite of the negative side of my Enneagram 1, which is the inner critic. Mm-hmm. I need that positive affirmation to fill those gaps of where I'm critiquing myself.
Yeah.
So anyway, any other thoughts on that?
No, I think it's good. And I do love all of those. And I think it's good to know all of them because I just think it's so helpful. I love learning about my personality and Jeff's personality and when something about a 1 is they can be critical. They don't mean to be critical, but it comes across as critical. And I'm a 9-1, so I'm a peacemaker, want everybody to be happy, and I can get my feelings hurt when Jeff's being critical, but he's not being mean.
Yeah.
He's just trying to help me do things the right way. Like, for example,
loading the dishwasher.
The other night, I loaded the dishwasher before he got home from work, and he opened it up to clean up after dinner. And he just said, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Why did you do this there and this there and this there?
I did want to understand the thinking behind it. It just doesn't make sense to me.
But that's the first time you've asked why I did that instead of just critiquing me. And so it didn't hurt my feelings.
Hey, all right.
I didn't have to forgive you later.
There you go. And what you told me, I was like, okay, that actually, when you explain it, I wouldn't do it that way.
Yeah.
But it made sense.
That's how my brain works.
That's funny. So Melissa, I had never thought about the correlation between those. I'm super curious about it. Mm-hmm. But even as we're just dialoguing it here, I realized that my love language and my Enneagram number go hand in hand.
Yeah, I should ask the other ones that I know.
And you're not yours is matches too.
The acts of service.
And well, what is your, yes, it does. What is your negative of the 9?
Oh, sloth. I'm lazy, or can become.
Yes.
I'm not lazy, but can be looked at as lazy.
The deadly sin of an Enneagram 9 is called sloth, being a slothfulness, I think. But basically, you can what's the word? You can divert to laziness.
Yes.
So what? Obviously, it would.
Yeah, that's true. So
when
you
somebody
doing
does something for you,
yeah,
means you don't have to.
Yeah, and that fills my.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's good. And I think I've shared this on him before, but I have taken advantage of Jeff filling my love bucket.
Would you please take advantage of me?
Not in that way.
That was awesome.
But there's time. I definitely have time to clean the kitchen before he comes home from work. But I choose to knit or work or do something else because I know he'll do it.
And then sometimes you tell me you're going to clean.
Yes, and I don't get to it.
And then I come home, you're like, you're early. You were going to wait. Your MO is you wait.
Yeah.
Until if I'm away on a trip, you wait till the last possible day or moment.
I want to know the minute you're going to be home so I can make sure I do everything I'm supposed to be doing.
Or if it's coming home from work, you wait till the last. Sometimes you tell me you're going to clean up. I come home and you're finishing. Or I'm the opposite.
That's because literally I just want to sit and knit. I just love it so much.
So my thinking is I'm just going to get it done so that I can sit.
I know, but I want to sit for as long as I can before I have to do something.
That's funny. There you go. Melissa, that was a great question.
Yeah, that was good.
Hopefully that helped. I'm going to look into it some more. I miscalculated, by the way. We have way more than 4 questions.
Okay, it's okay. Let's just keep going.
There's no way.
What do we have left?
We have some big ones. So I'm going to say let's stop.
Okay.
We'll still do the drawing. We're going to do the drawing right now.
Okay.
From all the questions that were entered, but the next episode we'll finish.
Okay.
So we're going to turn the Podcastiversary
into 2 episodes.
We won't have party hats or kazoos next time.
Aww.
Well, if you want to, we can.
I'm going to keep my hat on.
Okay. But for the next episode, we'll do it.
Okay.
Because we didn't have another one planned anyway.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we were going to do next. So for the next one,
okay,
we'll do it.
That was good.
We should do a whole episode on Enneagram numbers, though.
Yes, I would love that.
I think Melissa maybe asked that a long time ago.
Yeah, and Melissa's an 8, I know. An 8-7. Those 8s.
Those 8s. Which means she probably won't like our answer.
I know.
Okay, so we are going to do, we're going to give away $25.
Yeah.
We have everybody who asked a question.
Yeah.
Their name's been entered. Mm-hmm. Even the questions that were just funny ones.
Yeah.
You've been entered. So go ahead and start your app.
So don't say anything.
Yeah, because I
till it fully stops. Because it tricks you.
Okay, that's what I said last time, right? That's what I thought won. Laura, you won $25. So we will reach out to you as well, get your email, and we'll send you a digital gift card to a restaurant, to Target, or Amazon, your choice. Right?
Yes. Do we need to tell them?
Yes.
The next 2 ways, and then we'll have that next podcast.
Yep. So there's 2 more ways to win. So 2 more ways to win. You can. The first way to win $50 is to tag someone on our social media posts about this episode. So there's social media posts out there today on Instagram and Facebook. If you go to Jeff G. Manis on Instagram or Facebook, if you look up Sabrina Manis on Instagram or Facebook, you'll find us, or go to Naked Party Time Podcast on Instagram. And if you just find the social media post, in the comments, just tag somebody. Yeah. Which means you put their handle in.
Tag us too.
You don't have to. If we'll see it, so it'll be in a comment.
Oh, okay.
It's on our social media post.
Okay.
That's to win $50. To win $100 gift card.
Woohoo!
We'll see if anybody does this. You have to create your own Facebook or Instagram post. Create your own post about this podcast. And then you have to just in the post point people where they can listen. On that one,
You have to
make sure
tag.
you tag us.
Okay.
So make sure you tag us on social media in that post of your own.
Yeah.
So create your own post, tell people where to go listen, tag us so that we'll see it. And you'll be entered to win $100.
And Emily and Laura, you can
You
still,
can still do
get
it.
in,
Yep.
even though you've already won.
Yep. And you can do both of those.
Yeah.
Okay. So $50, tag someone in one of our social media posts about this podcast. $100 if you create your own post, point people where to listen, tag us. Right?
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. So the next episode, which we'll finish out, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more questions. And some of them are pretty deep,
Yeah.
like real deep.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have saved those for last, but we'll get into those next time. These have been great questions. So thankful for the kind comments, even though we bribed you to give them. I think they were genuine, even though we
Yes, I
bribed you.
think
So thanks for that. Next episode drops on June 22nd, Podcastiversary Part 2. If you could do us a huge favor for now, share the podcast with one person this week. That would be awesome. Share it on your social media, text it to someone, email a family member or a friend, or stand on the corner of a road as a crazy sign waver.
Yeah.
How about that? That'd be
I like
awesome.
that.
Also, it'd be a huge help for us if you would subscribe, like, rate, and leave a review wherever you are joining in. That's all we have for today. That was a lot. Sabrina, let's end like we always do with our marriage mission. We are united in Christ, unstoppable with Christ, and unbreakable because of Christ. Now it's time for you to go get naked.
And party.
See you on the other side. Happy anniversary. Thank you for listening to the Naked Party Time podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review on all of your podcast platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure and subscribe as well. For more content, go to jeffmanis.com.